On RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15, there were 14 queens playing the fan-favorite Snatch Game challenge, and with a lot of variety in this year's performers, some celebrity impersonations stood out as the best, worst, and average of the night. Since its debut back in 2009, several challenges on RuPaul's Drag Race have become series staples that everyone looks forward to, such as the Shady Reading as Fundamental Mini Challenge, the anticipated Rusical Mainstage Performance, and, for some queens, the dreaded Unconventional Material Assignment. While RuPaul's Drag Race fans love to watch the queens impersonate other people in a parody of Match Game, the task is easier said than done for many, especially when it comes to improvisation. The queens cast on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 had a lot to live up to with their rendition of Snatch Game, with RuPaul, Michelle Visage, Ross Matthews, Carson Kressley, and new judge Tease Madison at the helm. Since RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14 Snatch Game wasn't a hit with viewers, the next batch of queens ready to compete for the title of America's Drag Superstar had to restore the challenge to its former glory on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15. This season had more competition than ever, as there were so many queens that they were split into two groups, with 7 players in each round. Although some queens didn't get enough screen time and others took up too much of the spotlight, it was easy to tell who succeeded and who failed by the end of the fan-favorite challenge. 14. Spice as Miley Cyrus. Although Spice's impersonation of Miley Cyrus had potential, it took almost no amount of time for her performance to go from slightly quirky to the ultimate embodiment of second-hand embarrassment. Spice physically resembled Hannah Montana-era Miley and later pulled off Miley's infamous look from the 2013 VMA Awards. When it came to Miley's real personality and mannerisms, Spice missed the mark completely. When Spice was not busy licking her sledgehammer prop in an homage to Miley's music video for Wrecking Ball, she couldn't stop laughing like Goofy. Since Miley has grown a lot over the past 10 years, it's hard to compute why Spice decided to go for an outdated version of the star. Like Irene Dubois' talent show performance, Spice's Snatch Game did have hints of humor, but definitely not for the right reasons. 13. Aura Mayari as Bretman Rock. Social media influencer and internet celebrity Bretman Rock was a good choice for Aura Mayari in theory, since the two are Filipino and Aura could easily use their physical resemblance to her advantage. In practice, however, Aura failed to embody Bretman's brutally honest personality and over-the-top mannerisms during the RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 Snatch Game. Like Spice, Aura struggled to improvise when the spotlight was on her, which meant that her attempts to be funny awkwardly fell flat. Overall, Aura's impersonation of Bretman was one of the weakest of the night, and she just barely managed to escape the bottom two. 12. Sugar as Trisha Paytas. While Spice's Snatch Game was clearly the worst, her identical twin Sugar didn't fare much better. If Bretman is considered outgoing and sociable, YouTube sensation Trisha Paytas' personality could be compared to the Energizer Bunny on steroids. Between Trisha's wild online assertions, collection of quotes and memes, and her recent quest to join the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Sugar had an abundance of material to work with when she decided to play Trisha on the Snatch Game. Unfortunately, however, Sugar had the same problems as Spice. Sugar's Trisha impression wasn't only inaccurate, but only stood out because it took attention away from the other queens. 11. Robin Fierce as Karen Huger. Despite how popular the Real Housewives franchise is, only a few Bravo stars have been impersonated on Snatch Game. This is partially why Robin Fierce's choice of Karen Huger from the Real Housewives of Potomac had a lot of promise. Although Robin was one of several queens who delivered a good first impression on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15, her interpretation of Karen left a lot to be desired. Karen is known for her funny confessionals, snappy comebacks and natural leadership skills on RuPaul. While Robin looked the part, she missed every opportunity to portray Karen's standout characteristics when it was her turn to answer. Ultimately, she got very lucky that RPDR producers were itching for a twin sync between Sugar and Spice this episode. 10. Selena-S Titties as Virgin Mary. Selena-S Titties made a bold choice when she decided to attend the RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 Snatch game as the Virgin Mary. While her talent show performance was a hit, her impression ended up being a miss. Some unlikely Snatch game performances have been successful, like Gigi Goode winning as Maria the Robot, but the same cannot be said for Selena. Remember that they had us in the first half, not gonna lie, mean? Selena's Virgin Mary was the embodiment of that phrase. Despite her strong start and beautiful look, Selena's impersonation entered the controversial Snatch Game Hall of Fame as her over-the-top pregnancy not only raised RuPaul's eyebrows, but noticeably left the other queens uncomfortable. 9. Anitra as Gorgina Ramsey. It's a shame that MTV cut RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 down to 1-hour episodes, because there was no explanation given as to why Anitra chose to create her own character for Snatch Game. Instead of going with Chef Gordon Ramsay, Anitra decided to portray the only fictional person of the night, Gordon's sister Gorgina. While the choice was arguably one of the worst from a technical standpoint, Anitra sort of managed to sell it. Between her misplaced Australian accent that wouldn't fly on RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under and her unintentional character breaks, Anitra's performance was a bit all over the place, but she did make RuPaul cackle. 8. Malaysia Babydoll Fox as Saucy Santana. Malaysia Babydoll Fox had the right idea when she portrayed rapper Saucy Santana for Snatch Game, but while her impression wasn't bad, she was simply outshone by other queens. The spotlight was on Malaysia when Snatch Game started, as she not only physically resembled Saucy and his eccentric style, but also easily replicated his bubbly and quirky personality. Despite her strong entrance, however, it didn't take long for Malaysia to fade into the background when up against Selena and Mistress Isabel Brooks. Mistress did throw several jokes in Malaysia's direction, but her performance was missing that ease of improvisation. 7. Sasha Colby as Jan Crouch. Sasha Colby's impersonation of the late religious broadcaster Jan Crouch barely received attention during the latest RuPaul's Drag Race Snatch Game, but based on what was shown, Sasha landed squarely in the middle of the pack. Sasha's mannerisms and answers were on point with Jan's shtick, but like Malaysia, Sasha just couldn't compete on the same level as some of the other queens. It also didn't help that she was in Sugar and Spice's group, since the twins stole most of the spotlight with their cringe-worthy performances. If MTV released an extended cut of the Snatch Game, it would probably prove that Sasha still gave a firmly safe performance. 6. Luxe Noir London as Amanda Lepore. While Luxe Noir London's impression of Amanda Lepore wasn't as good as Trinity the Tuck's performance on RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 4, she was still better than a lot of her competitors. Luxe missed out on the perfect opportunity to don as many pads as possible, but she still managed to sell Amanda's iconic look and general traits. Luxe's jokes also landed and worked well as Snatch Game answers, even if her delivery was on the lackluster side. Amanda has become a predictable choice for Snatch Game, but because she's so unique, it would have been harder for Luxe to fail than succeed. 5. Amethyst as Tan Mom. For those who don't know, Tan Mom, real name Patricia Krenzel, is a woman from New Jersey who became an internet sensation in the early 2010s. In 2012, Tan Mom was arrested for allegedly taking her child into a tanning bed, although it was her unnatural complexion that really caught everyone's attention. Amethyst took a big risk when she used an obscure reference for Snatch Game. Like Sasha Velour's portrayal of Marlene Dietrich on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 9, Amethyst's choice paid off. Amethyst not only played up Tan Mom's eccentric backstory and personality, but clearly had a great time doing so. Since Amethyst was in the bottom 2 for the first couple RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 challenges, it was nice to see her get some redemption for her comedy skills. 4. Jax as Mona Lisa. If it's difficult to impersonate an internet meme from 10 years ago, it's even harder to take on the role of an inanimate object like Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. Nonetheless, Jax not only managed to bring the Mona Lisa to life, but successfully landed some jokes in the process. Sure, one could argue that Jax's decision to be Mona Lisa was an incredibly safe choice. It didn't require much effort, like Gottmilk's Paris Hilton from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13. That being said, however, Jax didn't have a lot of material to go off of besides the Mona Lisa being a famous painting done by an Italian. Jax's funny moments were simple in execution, but effective compared to most of the other queens. 3. Mistress Isabelle Brooks as Rosie O'Donnell. Mistress came out of the gate swinging as Rosie O'Donnell for the RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 Snatch Game, and delivered one of the most consistent performances between the two groups. As an iconic comedian, television presenter, and actress, Rosie's loud voice and exuberant personality has dominated the entertainment industry for over 40 years. Mistress cleverly used this to her advantage. With an obvious knack for improvisation like Jinx Monsoon and natural charisma, Mistress was a standout throughout Snatch Game, even if she did accidentally channel Abby Lee Miller at one point. Mistress' impression of Rosie was not entirely accurate, but like Alyssa Edwards' impersonation of Joan Crawford on RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 2, it was one of funniest. In the words of RuPaul, well, that don't make no kind of sense, but it sure is entertaining. 2. Marsha as Tim Gunn. Between her campy talent show performance and her impersonation of Project Runway mentor Tim Gunn for Snatch Game, Marsha is arguably one of the most underrated contestants on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15. There have been plenty of male Snatch Game characters over the years. Kennedy Davenport's Little Richard to Ben de la Creme's Paul Lynde come to mind, and while these instances of male drag are usually met with apprehension from RuPaul and the other queens, they have almost always paid off. Marcia's choice to portray Tim wasn't only hilarious, but it was smart, as Tim has distinctive mannerisms. He also has an easy-to-recognize look, a unique voice, and many quotes from his time on Project Runway, such as, "Designers, make it work." If Lucy LaDuca's Joan Rivers wasn't so good and Marcia's look was stronger, she could have easily won the challenge. 1. Lucy LaDuca as Joan Rivers. There are certain characters that are destined to bomb on Snatch Game no matter who is behind the impersonation, such as Beyoncé and Lady Gaga. On the other hand, there are some impersonations that are meant to succeed as long as the performer behind them is completely committed to the bit, like Joan Rivers and Liza Minnelli. They are also some of Russ's favorite people, so the queen taking on these characters has a lot to prove to the Emmy-winning host. Like Jimbo from Canada's Drag Race, Lucy absolutely nailed the essence of Joan and her natural comedic talent, such as Joan's blunt honesty, perfectly timed jokes, and crass speech patterns. Lucy had RuPaul cackling from the moment she opened her mouth, and helped take Snatch game to another level with as many interactions with the other queens as possible. There have been several close ties throughout RuPaul's Drag Race, but Lucy's Joan impersonation was far above everyone else's performances this season. RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 airs Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on MTV. Source: RuPaul's Drag Race, Instagram.
With a gentle touch you tell me what